The mission file was marked classified, level black. No country name, no coordinates on public maps, no satellite confirmation allowed. That alone told Captain Sarah Mitchell everything she needed to know. This wasn't a normal recon operation. It was something hidden from the world. Inside the military transport helicopter, the air felt tight, almost unnatural. 8 elite soldiers sat in silence, each one trained to handle war zones, but this place felt different. Outside the windows, there was nothing but endless jungle canopy stretching like a dark green ocean. No villages, no smoke, no roads. Just untouched wilderness. Sarah checked her wrist display again. GPS unstable, she muttered. Sergeant Cole, sitting opposite her, gave a small smirk. Relax, it's just a jungle. Sarah didn't answer. She had been in jungles before. Afghanistan, South America, classified operations she wasn't allowed to talk about. But this jungle, it didn't feel normal. The deeper they flew, the quieter everything became. Even the engine noise felt muted, like the air itself was absorbing sound. Then it happened. A sudden static burst exploded through the comms. Base, this is Eagle 6, do you read? Nothing. Only white noise. The pilot tapped the console. We're losing signal fast. Sarah leaned forward. Try backup frequency. It's not responding. The helicopter suddenly tilted slightly. Not turbulence. Something external. A sharp metallic ping echoed through the frame. Then another. And another. Sarah's eyes narrowed. That's not weather. The co-pilot turned his head. We're being. A deafening explosion cut him off. The tail section of the helicopter erupted in fire. Alarm screamed instantly. Missile strike, the pilot shouted. Brace, brace, brace. The aircraft spun violently, throwing everyone sideways. Loose gear smashed into walls. One soldier slammed against the side door with a sickening impact. Sarah grabbed the seat frame, holding herself steady. Outside, the jungle blurred into a green spiral. The helicopter was going down. Vast. Eject is not an option, the pilot yelled. We're too low. Another explosion hit. The engine failed completely. The world tilted upside down. And the jungle rushed up like a predator, opening its jaws. Impact. The crash wasn't just loud. It was violent enough to tear the sky apart. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. Fire roared through the cabin as the helicopter slammed into the dense forest canopy. Trees broke like matchsticks. Then darkness. Sarah woke up with dirt in her mouth and burning heat on her skin. Rain poured heavily through the broken canopy above, mixing with smoke and fire. Her ears rang. For a few seconds, she couldn't tell if she was alive or dead. Then pain hit. Her shoulder, her ribs, her head. She pushed herself up slowly. The helicopter wreckage lay scattered behind her like a broken machine carcass. Fire still burned in parts of it, hissing under the rain. No movement. No voices. Cole, she called. Only jungle noise answered. She checked herself immediately. Rifle gone. Radio dead. Sidearm missing. Knife still secured. That was it. One weapon. One survivor. Or so she thought. She stepped carefully through the wreckage. Bodies were not where they should have been. Seats were torn apart. But no clear sign of her squad. That was wrong. A crash like this should have left everyone visible. Then she saw it. A trail. Drag marks. Fresh. Leading away from the wreckage into the jungle. Sarah's expression hardened. They didn't die here. Something took them. Or dragged them. She followed the trail. The deeper she moved into the jungle, the more unnatural it felt. The sounds changed. Bird calls stopped entirely. Even insects went silent. It was as if the jungle was holding its breath. Trees grew closer together, blocking light completely. The storm above turned the forest into a shadowed labyrinth. Sarah kept her breathing steady. Controlled. Military discipline kicking in. Then, a low growl echoed behind her. She froze instantly. Slowly turned. Nothing. Only darkness. But she knew. She was no longer alone. The drag marks led to a clearing. What she found there made her stomach tighten. A torn piece of uniform. One of her squad. Blood soaked into the ground beneath it. And deeper marks, like something heavy had pulled a body away. Not one body. Multiple. All dragged in the same direction. Into the deeper jungle. Sarah knelt down, scanning the soil. No bullet casings. No fight marks. No defensive struggle. Whatever took them didn't fight fair. It was vast. And silent. A branch snapped above her. She rolled instantly. A massive shadow dropped where she had been standing. The ground shook. Sarah aimed her knife upward. Nothing. But something had landed there. She could feel it. Breathing. Watching. Then it moved again. Circling her. The jungle itself felt alive now. Not just trees. Not just animals. Something intelligent. Hunting. Night came faster than expected. The sky disappeared completely under thick canopy. Only faint green bioluminescent plants lit the ground. And that's when the jungle revealed its truth. Eyes. Dozens of glowing eyes surrounded her position. Low growls filled the air from every direction. Not random. Coordinated. Something was controlling them. Sarah slowly backed against a tree, knife raised, scanning the darkness. A massive shape moved between the trees. Too big for a bear. Too silent for a tiger. It circled her once. Then twice. And stopped just beyond the light. A deep breath echoed from it. Almost human. Then, a scream shattered the jungle silence. Human. Cut off instantly. Sarah's grip tightened. Her mind raced. This wasn't just survival anymore. This was organized hunting. And she was the target. The creature in the darkness took one step closer. And the jungle finally began its real hunt. The scream still echoed in Sarah Mitchell's mind long after the jungle went silent again. Not a normal silence. A controlled silence. Like something had pressed pause on the entire forest. Her grip tightened around her knife as she stood motionless beneath the massive trees. The glowing eyes that had surrounded her were gone. All at once. No footsteps. No rustling. No retreat sounds. Just emptiness. That was worse. Because trained predators don't disappear like that. Something had called them off. Sarah slowly shifted her stance, scanning every direction. "Come on," she whispered under her breath. "Show yourself." A branch snapped far behind her. She turned instantly. Nothing. Then another sound, closer this time. Left side. She pivoted. A blur of movement exploded from the darkness. She barely had time to react. A wild creature slammed into her shoulder, knocking her into the mud. It was fast, too fast to identify clearly. Claws scratched across her tactical vest, ripping fabric but not breaking through armor. Sarah rolled hard, kicking it off. It hit the ground with a heavy thud. Now she saw it. Not a normal jungle animal. It looked like a jaguar, but wrong. Too large, muscles overly defined, eyes glowing faint green in the dark. And it wasn't acting wild. It was tracking her like a weapon. It growled once and attacked again. The first fight. Sarah dodged the second strike and stabbed downward with her knife. The blade hit its shoulder, but instead of pain response, the creature barely reacted. It twisted violently, throwing her into a tree. Pain exploded in her back. Not natural, she gasped. This thing had been modified. Engineered. The creature lunged again, jaws opening wide. Sarah rolled beneath it and slashed across its front leg. This time it reacted. A sharp screech echoed through the jungle. But instead of retreating, it became more aggressive. More focused. Like it was receiving commands. Sarah's eyes narrowed. This is not an animal. She noticed something attached near its neck, barely visible under thick fur. A metallic implant. A tracker. Or controller. Before she could analyze further, the creature charged again. Sarah used the tree behind her, pushing off and driving her knife into its side with full force. This time it worked. The creature collapsed, twitching violently before going still. Heavy silence returned. But only for a moment. Because now she knew the truth. The jungle wasn't wild. It was managed hunting territory. Something watching from above. Sarah stepped back slowly, breathing controlled. The dead creature lay at her feet, rain washing blood into the soil. Then she heard it. A faint mechanical sound. Above her. She looked up. Between the trees, barely visible through the canopy. A drone. Military grade. Silent. Watching. Recording. Her jaw tightened instantly. So that's it. She wasn't lost. She was being observed. Tracked. Hunted. A faint red light blinked from the drone before it disappeared deeper into the jungle. Sarah made a decision. If she stayed in open terrain, she would be hunted forever. She needed cover. She needed answers. And most importantly, she needed whoever was controlling this. The hidden trail. She followed the direction the drone moved. For the next hour, she moved carefully through increasingly unnatural terrain. The jungle started changing. Too symmetrical in some places. Trees arranged too evenly. Ground flattened in unnatural patches. Then she found it. A broken metal panel, half covered in vines. She knelt down, brushing it off. Military alloy. Not old. Recent. She pulled harder. Beneath it. A hatch. Hidden underground. Her eyes sharpened. This wasn't on any map. A faint hum came from below. Power. Active systems. Someone was still here. She forced the hatch open, just enough to peek inside. A staircase. Leading down into darkness. Cold air rose from below. Artificial. Not natural jungle environment. Sarah exhaled slowly. Found you. Then she heard something behind her. A click. Metal. Gun safety being released. She froze. Slowly raised her hands halfway, not surrendering but preparing. A voice came from the jungle. Calm. Controlled. Male. You're not supposed to reach this point alive, Captain Mitchell. Sarah didn't turn yet. She recognized the accent. Military. Not local. Who are you? She asked. A soft laugh. We're the ones running the experiment. That word hit harder than bullets. Experiment. Sarah slowly turned her head slightly. 3 armed men stood behind her. Not soldiers from her unit. Different uniforms. No insignia. Clean gear. Professional. Behind them, the jungle felt different again, like it was watching with them. One of them stepped forward. "You crashed in a controlled zone," he said. "Everything you've experienced since landing has been part of the system." Sarah's expression hardened. "The animals," she said. "The drone, my squad." The man tilted his head slightly. "All variables." Her grip tightened. "You turned humans into bait." He didn't deny it. That was answer enough. A loud roar echoed deep in the jungle. Not animal. Not natural. Something bigger. The men behind him didn't react, which meant they already knew what it was. Sarah took one step back toward the hatch. The man raised his weapon slightly. "You can go down there if you want," he said calmly, "but what's waiting below is worse than what's up here." Sarah glanced at the dark staircase, then back at the jungle. Both options were death, but only one gave answers. She stepped backward into the hatch. The man didn't stop her. Instead, he said something that froze her blood. "Good luck, Captain. The real test starts now." The hatch slammed shut above her, and the underground world swallowed her whole. The hatch sealed shut above Captain Sarah Mitchell, with a heavy metallic clang that echoed down the stairwell like a death sentence. Darkness swallowed everything. For a few seconds, she didn't move. Only her breathing, steady, controlled, cut through the silence. Then the emergency lights flickered on. Dim red illumination revealed a concrete staircase descending deep underground. The air was cold, artificial, and sterile, completely opposite of the humid jungle above. Sarah tightened her grip on her knife. "This isn't a bunker," she whispered. "It's a facility." She began moving down, step by step. Each footstep echoed too loudly, like the place was listening. The hidden world beneath the jungle. At the bottom of the stairs, a reinforced door stood slightly open, as if inviting her in. Sarah pushed it slowly. Inside, a long corridor stretched ahead, lined with flickering lights and thick glass panels. Behind the glass, empty containment rooms, some shattered, some still operational, and some stained. Her eyes narrowed as she walked forward. On the walls were warning labels she didn't recognize. Project Origin, Subject Control Unit, Behavioral Biosynthesis. "This is insane," she muttered. Then she heard it. A faint sound. A cough. "Human." Sarah immediately raised her knife and moved toward it. The first survivor. A locked cell door stood half broken. Inside, a man lay on the floor, weak, injured, barely conscious. His military uniform was torn, but the patch was familiar. "Her squad." "Cole," Sarah whispered. The man lifted his head slowly. "Sarah," he rasped. She forced the door open. "What happened to you?" she asked quickly. Cole laughed weakly, coughing blood. They didn't crash us," he said. "They collected us." Sarah's expression hardened. "Collected?" Cole nodded slowly. "This whole jungle, it's a testing ground. Animals, drones, even terrain, it's all controlled. They observe survival outcomes." Sarah clenched her jaw. "Who are they?" Cole hesitated, then whispered, "Not military, not anymore." Before he could continue, a loud alarm suddenly echoed through the facility. Red lights flashed instantly. A robotic voice filled the corridors. "Containment breach DATSCTD." Sarah snapped her head toward the ceiling. "They know I'm here." Cole grabbed her arm weakly. "You need to leave now." But Sarah shook her head. "I didn't come this far to run." The truth of the experiment. They moved through the corridor quickly. Cole leaned on Sarah for support as they passed rows of observation rooms. Inside the glass, Footage screens played looping recordings of jungle survival scenarios. Soldiers, prisoners, even civilians, all dropped into the same jungle. All monitored, all evaluated. Sarah stopped in front of one screen. It showed her helicopter crash. Live footage. From multiple angles. Her eyes darkened. "We were never meant to survive," she said quietly. Cole nodded. "You're part of Phase 3. Sarah turned sharply. "What does that mean?" Before Cole could answer, a loud metallic slam echoed behind them. A security door sealed off the corridor they just came from. Then another ahead. They were being boxed in. The first killers arrive. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor. Not human. Too synchronized. Then they appeared. 4 figures. Wearing black tactical armor. No faces visible behind helmets. But their movements. Wrong. Too precise. Too machine-like. Cole's eyes widened. Enhanced units. Sarah stepped forward slightly. "What are they?" Cole whispered. "Failed soldiers rebuilt." One of the figures tilted its head toward them, then spoke in a distorted voice. "Subject MITCHELL identified." Sarah's blood ran cold. They weren't just soldiers. They were tracking her specifically. The first unit moved instantly. Sarah reacted faster. She grabbed Cole and shoved him behind a console, just as the attacker slammed into the wall she had been standing in front of. The impact cracked concrete. "That's not human strength," she muttered. She rolled to the side as another unit fired a stun round, missing her by inches. Cole shouted, "They don't feel pain." "I noticed," Sarah snapped. "The escape through fire." Sarah used the environment instantly. She triggered a nearby control panel, causing a pressure door to malfunction and slam down between her and 2 units. But the remaining 2 kept advancing. Sarah grabbed a metal pipe from the ground and struck one hard across the helmet. No reaction. It grabbed her arm. Too strong. For a moment she struggled. Then she used her knife, stabbing directly into a joint seam. A spark burst out. The unit froze. Then collapsed. Electronic, she realized. Cole yelled, "Their joints are neural-linked." Sarah turned sharply. "Where?" "The control hub." Cole pointed down the corridor. "Central core, but it's locked behind biometric access." Sarah didn't hesitate. "We're going." They ran through the facility as alarms intensified. Doors sealed behind them. The remaining unit pursued silently. Like a predator without hesitation. Sarah and Cole reached a massive reinforced door. Biometric scanner glowing red. Locked. Cole collapsed beside it. "I can't go further." Sarah grabbed his arm. "You're not dying here." She looked at the scanner, then at the facility, then made a decision. She pulled out her knife and cut her own palm. Blood dripped onto the scanner. Nothing. Then, a pause. The system analyzed. Then, access granted, unknown clearance override. The door slowly opened. Cole looked at her in shock. "How did you?" Sarah didn't answer, because what she saw inside made everything worse. The core truth. A massive central control room stretched before them. Dozens of screens displayed jungle terrain, drone feeds, and live human subjects. And in the center, a single message. Project Origin success rate. 97% controlled survival environments achieved. Sarah's eyes narrowed. "This is not survival," she whispered. "It's a game." Then a voice echoed through the speakers. Calm. Familiar. The same man from the jungle. You finally reached the heart of it, Captain. Sarah looked up at the cameras. You're watching me right now. The voice responded. Always have been. Cole suddenly grabbed Sarah's arm tightly. Sarah, look. She turned. One screen flickered. It showed the jungle above, and something massive moving through it, bigger than anything she had seen before. The voice continued. Phase 4 is already active. Sarah's expression hardened. What is Phase 4? A pause. Then the answer came. The part where we see if you survive what we built after you. The lights in the core flickered. Something had just been released into the jungle. And for the first time, Sarah realized the experiment wasn't testing humans. It was testing what hunts humans best. The entire facility shuddered as the system shifted into something new. Not an alarm anymore. Not containment. A release sequence. Captain Sarah Mitchell stood in the central control room, blood still dripping from her hand onto the biometric scanner. The screens around her flickered violently, showing multiple jungle angles at once, like the entire forest had become a live battlefield camera system. Cole leaned against a console, breathing heavily. We shouldn't be here, he whispered. This is where they control everything. Sarah's eyes stayed locked on the main screen. Something was moving in the jungle. Not fast. Not random. Purposefully. Then the voice returned. Calm, controlled, almost satisfied. You've done well reaching this point, Captain Mitchell. Sarah looked directly into the ceiling camera. Cut the speech, she said coldly. Show yourself. A pause. Then a face appeared on the central screen. A man in a clean black uniform, sitting in a command chair surrounded by holographic data. No need for theatrics, he said. You already understand what this is. Sarah's grip tightened. It's a weapon lab, she replied. You turned a jungle into a slaughter simulation. The man smiled slightly. Correction, we turned it into a perfect survival intelligence system. Cole coughed weakly. You're insane. The man ignored him. The world no longer needs wars, Captain. It needs results. We create environments where only the strongest survive and study them. Sarah stepped closer to the screen. In my squad. The man tilted his head. Data points. Silence. Heavy silence. Sarah's expression didn't change, but something inside her hardened completely. You killed them, she said quietly. No, the man corrected. We evaluated them. The jungle breaks loose. A sudden explosion echoed far above. The facility lights flickered violently. Cole looked up sharply. What was that? The man on the screen answered before Sarah could. Phase 4 deployment is complete. Sarah turned slowly toward the jungle feed. And saw it. A massive shape moving through the trees. Not animal. Not machine. Something built from both. It tore through the jungle canopy like it weighed nothing, branches snapping, earth shaking with each step. Eyes embedded in armor-like skin. Mechanical limbs fused with organic muscle. A hybrid predator. Cole's voice dropped. That's not a test subject. Sarah finished the thought. That's the final weapon. The man nodded on screen. Designed to eliminate everything in the environment that cannot be controlled. Sarah's eyes sharpened. And me. The man smiled. You were never meant to reach this stage. Betrayal inside the system. Suddenly, Cole grabbed Sarah's arm tightly. Sarah, listen to me. She turned. He looked different now, pale, shaking. They injected us when we crashed, he said quickly. Not just tracking implants, behavioral triggers. Sarah's eyes narrowed. What are you saying? Cole's breathing became unstable. I was supposed to die in the jungle, but I didn't. He looked at her. I think I was activated. Before Sarah could react, Cole suddenly froze. His eyes flickered, then changed. Completely blank. The facility speakers crackled. Subject control override confirmed. Sarah stepped back immediately. No. Cole raised his head slowly, and in a flat, unnatural voice said, Primary target, Captain Mitchell. Sarah whispered, They turned you into one of them. Cole moved instantly. Faster than before. Stronger than before. The fight within the core. Sarah dodged the first strike barely, rolling across the control floor as Cole slammed his fist into a console, shattering it. He wasn't human anymore. Not fully. She tried talking. Cole fight it. No response. Only mechanical aggression. He charged again. Sarah used the environment, grabbing a metal cable and wrapping it around his arm, slamming him into a control pillar. Sparks exploded. Cole staggered but didn't stop. Your nervous system is being overridden, she muttered. Then she saw it. A port behind his neck. Same as the jungle creatures. Same as the armored units. Everything here is controlled. She grabbed a shock baton from the floor and hesitated for half a second. Then struck. A burst of electricity surged through Cole. He screamed, finally human again for a split second. Sarah, run. Then he collapsed. The monster enters the facility. The entire structure shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The hybrid weapon had reached the facility. Sarah looked at the jungle feed. It was inside the perimeter now. Moving toward them. The man on the screen spoke again. You can't stop it. It responds to neural command signals, and those signals are now linked to your presence. Sarah understood instantly. It's tracking me. The man nodded. You are the final variable. A loud crash echoed outside the control room. Metal bent. Walls cracked. The creature was breaking in. Final choice. Sarah looked at Cole's unconscious body. Then at the control console. Then at the approaching monster. Everything came down to this moment. She moved fast. She accessed the core system. Lines of code, containment protocols, kill switch options. But most were locked. Except one. A final override command. Full system collapse, purge all active subjects. A self-destruct equivalent for the entire facility and everything connected to it. Including the jungle systems above. Including the weapon. Including her. The voice returned one last time. If you trigger that, you die too. Sarah didn't hesitate. I already did when I landed. She activated it. The end begins. Alarms exploded across every system. The jungle feeds went red. The hybrid creature screamed in the distance. The facility began shutting down layer by layer. The man on the screen stood up for the first time. No stop. But the signal cut mid-sentence. Everything started collapsing. Sarah grabbed Cole and pulled him toward the exit hatch. The structure behind them exploded with power failures and collapsing systems. The jungle above roared like it was alive and dying at the same time. As they climbed toward the surface, Sarah looked up through the broken hatch. Rain poured down. The jungle was burning. The creature was visible now, massive, unstable, thrashing as its control system failed. It locked eyes with her. For a moment, just a moment. It stopped. then collapsed into the trees as the final systems shut down. Final scene. Sarah dragged Cole into the open jungle as explosions echoed beneath them. The facility was gone. The experiment was ending. But the jungle was still there, alive, silent, watching. Cole coughed weakly beside her. "It's over," he whispered. Sarah looked into the forest. "No," she said quietly. "They just reset the board." The camera slowly pulled back, showing the jungle stretching endlessly, with faint hidden structures buried beneath it. Not all of them destroyed. And somewhere deep inside the darkness, a new signal flickered online.